Hey there, everyone. Welcome to this week's edition of Bulls versus Bears. Welcome, JT and Kai. How you doing, boys?
We're good, thanks. And thanks for dialing in, everyone.
Yes, no, thanks for dialing in. But Mr. Chen's turn this week, which is the main feature, episode 101, Dalmatians. But we're not talking about Dalmatia. We're talking Greenland is for sale. President Trump has had talks with the with Denmark, and he's extremely confident that they're going to come to some sort of arrangement. So
he wants it, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, I think and look, and I'd just like to just to say for some of the viewers, and particularly the viewers, not the listeners, but this graphic is actually now with the new rules on Grok is increasingly hard to make these AI graphics because all of the Karens of the world and all of the the nanny state of now. I can't even describe Donald Trump. I have to describe an elderly man with orange hair and things like that. So all the restrictions on AI are already starting to click in. So we are keeping score now. I do believe that we all said somewhere roughly around the around the 1% mark, give or take. So bonus points won't be awarded this week because A, we didn't decide on what the bonus scoring system was, and B, we were all correct, so it doesn't really matter anyway. So
I think let's just keep it simple. Like if you're bullish, you get a point, and because I know how it works. Like if we try and add complexity to it, we won't keep track. But I think,
but we're from financial markets. That's our job to add complexity to everything, is it not?
Well, not for our own scoring anyway. But
No, that's correct. And no one actually. We had to go back and check because no one remembered. Aussie did well this week, and obviously China and Euro stocks and the Russell. But we've been dragged up by the materials, and overall the Nasdaq made a very late recovery, but ironically on a Taiwanese company's results rather than their own.
Yeah, I think
the US was in trouble.
I think the main thing, there's a couple of things here. The Nikkei. So if you have a look at the yen, there was talk of intervention when the dollar yen went close to 160. There was talk of intervention there, so that actually pulled it back a little bit. And basically, their yields are just going through the roof. But if you go back to the Abenomic playbook, it's basically they just will install yield curve control and buy stocks or buy whatever needs to be done to just keep their economy afloat.
So one of the only, if not the only, central bank in the world that actually buys equities as part of their they have monetary policy.
And the other thing that's surprising for me is that the Russell. So if you have a look at the chart, the Russell's actually broken out to new highs, while the S&P, Nasdaq, and Dow kind of just look they are higher, but they don't look as explosive. So looks like the rotation. So while the larger caps are still kind of just floundering, looks like money's going into the smaller end of the market at the moment.
Well, there's only a small amount of the Mag 7 has got to come out to boost the rest of the market, considering NVIDIA is bigger than most, about 4 sectors combined. So there's been very little NVIDIA news. Look, Europe up 2%. To be honest, that'll probably be all defence stocks, as Kyle explained to you later on. This is the Aussie market for the week. That Rio down 4%. That doesn't seem to be right. But I mean,
No.
Oh no, because of the Glencore thing.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
But the usual suspects: Northern Star, Newmont, Block was a bit of a loser in the week. But I mean, just generally the tech sector and Zero as well. The tech sector's been not great.
I think we'll
Life
have
360.
I think we'll have to have a look at Block there, because if that's falling while Bitcoin's at 95 and Trump wants to cap credit card rates at 10%. You got two narratives there that could help that higher. So I'll have to have a look at that.
Well, mate, reading their annual reports like doing a Rubik's Cube blindfolded, because they've got about 75 different things going on. So they're but it's they've got. I mean, if Jack Dorsey gets it right, it'll probably be in the Mag 7. But complex is probably an understatement for these guys.
I think an interesting thing that we were talking about this week was some of the undervaluation in the Aussie tech sector. And I mean, like, there's probably some good opportunities that will come up in a couple of months, right? Like, I mean, looking at Xero, Mark, I remember we were looking at that throughout the week, and we're going like, geez, like their numbers are actually quite good. The rev's increasing. They still, the acquisition in the US isn't that bad. They actually got a lot of usage base in the US from Melio. So, I mean, it might be an opportunity, and same with Technology One, same with RIA. Some of these quality stocks are really actually getting onto discount. So,
I mean, the little ones like Catapult, which we looked at, it's halved. Zero's nearly halved. What was the other one? Temple and Webster halved.
Yeah.
And then Life 360, which, like, I'm a massive hater of Life 360 because I can't work out why it exists. However, companies in the US with the user growth that they've got, I mean, back in October, they were trading at a 25% premium to them. They've now dropped nearly 50%. So they're actually trading at a discount to those guys. So if people, I mean, there are tech investors out there that buy on user growth, and these guys are achieving that. I was just very critical because, I mean, basically their software is not remotely innovative. And they keep saying, oh, well, we'll sell advertising, we'll sell insurance, we'll sell this, we'll sell that. Oh, you can put it on your pets now. It's like, I mean, none of it's going to make any money. But anyway, it doesn't, Amazon didn't make money for the first 9 years it was on the market. So I think it cracked a net profit about 2009, but always traded at about 100 PE. So one of those things, I suppose. But I mean, the monetizers of AI, the Adobes, the Intuits, the CRMs, and ServiceNows hammered this week. Not really sure entirely why, but the industrials like Caterpillar, John Deere, and those guys, obviously Exxon and things, Walmart, Home Depot. That's that broadening of the rally that JT was talking about. Is more sort of salt in the earth, actually, physical companies that are bellwethers of the economy, not just gigantic chip companies.
Where's the energy sector in that?
Here.
Okay, yeah.
Sorry. Down here.
Okay.
So yeah, but despite the fact that, I mean, Trump had his big long-winded press conference, but like none of them seem mad keen to actually invest in Venezuela. But I think he's kind of forcing them to. So he's demanding a minimum $100 billion investments. I think Chevron has the luxury that they're owed like $200 billion from 20 years ago in a legal case from when Venezuela was ripping them off. Well, confiscated their assets. So these guys, the bank's down. Bank earnings were fairly poor. Morgan Stanley and Goldman's were the only ones that reported well. But that's on the 10% cap on credit card interest rates, which has caused a fair bit of panic. I haven't seen the news story for Eli Lilly, but yeah, apart from that, there was no major news stories during the week. Earnings is Netflix next week, Intuitive Surgical, and I think we've got like Intel, I think, is the other big one next week. So yeah, but really, yeah, I know that we covered the Powell, Jerome Powell coming out, because that was Monday this week, right?
Yes. So basically, they're trying to sue Powell for his policies that he said he's not dovish enough. I mean, it's pretty interesting. I think a bit of history in terms of where the Fed stands. Like, it's not always that the Fed has been independent. So basically, with the Fed Treasury Accord that came about in 1951, before that, the Treasury had control of the Fed. But it wasn't a good partnership, right? Because, like, I mean, there's always political incentive to be loose on monetary policy because it supports the fiscal stance. So that's really why the main reason why that ruling came about, where it's like, they need to be separate arms of the functions of the economy because, like, if politicians will always want to spend more, will always want to increase spending. Whereas for the Fed, it really depends on how the economic cycle is, right? Like their job is actually to control inflation. Politicians don't care, right? So it's interesting.
We're at 38 trillion in debt, and we're going to get to 40 trillion in debt this year, and that's with an independent Fed. I mean, imagine giving the keys to them. That is literally handing, like, giving, the lunatics control of the asylum. Like, I mean, they're already running it as it is.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. So I think, I don't think they should be, I think they should be independent. Powell's done a good job defending himself. He's come out pretty strong on social media.
Yeah, he got punchy, hey? Like, there's people with, like, there must be nerds, but, like, there's people with, like, Team Powell T-shirts and stuff already. Like, it's awesome.
He's got a bit of swag.
Yeah, he has got a bit of swag. He's even Nadine. I was on the call and Nadine did like something like Mac Daddy. He's the Mac Daddy, and I'm like, you're older than me. Like, I don't even know what you just said, but you must be way cooler than me. But that was pretty interesting to start the week. But obviously that which leads us nice little segue to precious metals rocketing, and I had to put a little. 20% in the week. Come on, guys. I had to put a little Rocket Man on there.
So hang on. So you're saying it was at 70 odd, maybe 75 when we did our last podcast, and it's at 93. So that's your 20 odd percent. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Amazing. Eh?
So and I think it was at 60 on December the 4th. I did the COB on AusBiz, and I raised our price target to 70. It's at 93. So, but every now and then I just sort of say things that I think are not going to get there, just to push a bullish argument across. And, no one's out of silver yet. Well, to be honest, it's probably moved too fast for us to get out just about. But it has been extraordinarily volatile, hasn't it, JT? Like It dropped like 6% yesterday in our session.
So it was, I think it's $6 drop. Like it went from 93 down to 87 during Asia, but it got actually bid during the US session, which is actually the reverse of what's been happening. So just
rare,
just amazing moves in silver, and I think it's down maybe 3% as we speak. It's back down around the 90, 91. So still quite high, but I hate to think what Twitter's going to be like when it cracks 100. Like everyone, all the conspiracy theorists, all the silver stackers will be just like, as I said, to the moon. So
I've actually they're annoying me so much now. I'm almost I don't want it to go down, but I'm almost like want to argue with them. Like it's like it just, and then you look at their theories and you just go, I'm not arguing with someone who's that crazy, but they normally do come out in chorus at the top of a move. They're not at full fledged at the moment, so but it does dwarf a lot of these really good moves like lithium 8%, uranium 7%. I mean, Bitcoin's bounced back 5%, coal's up 4%, like platinum's up 6%, copper's up another 3%. Like, I mean, gold's 3%. Like, I should have done a chart without silver in it almost, because there's some really solid moves from all those commodities.
Yeah, and that's as we said, it's a move into hard assets. So, funny enough though, like in this kind of environment, stocks do well as well. So don't discount that. The S&P keeps making new highs, Russell's punching out, and the XJO should continue to crawl higher from here.
Well, it's almost predicting inflation, really, isn't it? Like it's kind of everyone's but there's also the just in time supply chain issue, which back in the days of globalization, when everyone was peaceful, you could always get your copper or your silver or your whatever from about 1 million different places, and and now Trump's tariffs have pretty much made everyone go, "Ooh, we better make sure we can get that." So,
Oh.
Go.
Yeah, it's that whole deglobalization theory. So, we've spent so many years where we had a lot of peace out in the world, and they could adjust their supply chains to just run at the just in time because of deglobalization. And COVID was the first hint that hang on, these supply chains aren't actually as bulletproof as we need them to be. Basically, China controls everything, and so now we've got that deglobalization move where everyone's trying to secure their own supply, and obviously that you can see that move into commodities and hard assets.
And now we move on to Greenland. Mr. Chen wrote an article the other day, and I think this is a really clever map because it's sort of when you look at your standard globe, you sort of go.
Yeah, that's
weird country up there.
Exactly. That's why I put it in there. So this is actually, if you imagine, say, taking a photo of the globe, this is actually above the North Pole, and it kind of just shows you how close or why Greenland is right in the middle of some very, very important countries and sort of shipping lines and even say telecommunication lines. That's why Trump wants control of that.
No, absolutely. I think, and it's really interesting in terms of why it's become such a global flashpoint, really, Greenland. And to give you a little bit of context, I think, the Arctic Circle, it used to be a lot of ice, right? So they had a lot of ice, but of course, due to global warming, it's actually receding at a pretty rapid rate. So I think over about like the last 5 to 10 years, that ice sheet, the permanent ice sheet, has reduced by about 20%. So what's happening is actually a lot of shipping lanes have opened up, right? So there's new path that's coming through, and it's more you can travel more through what used to be ice. So and JT's pointed out a really good point where if you look at it from above, all the countries are actually very close to it. So there's what they call the first island chain. Actually, when you're talking about in the Cold War, Russia, if they were to sail the fleet through, they have to go through Greenland, Iceland, and the UK, right? So basically, that's a really important line. So if there was any launches of missiles or whatever, actually back in the Cold War, basically Greenland had a lot more military bases in there. They had about 10,000 US personnel at one point there. They chose to cut it back quite a lot, but they deployed a lot of the nuclear, they had nukes basically in Greenland. So strategic asset. But what's interesting is kind of like why Trump is trying to take over Greenland. And I think what the European Union is confused about is basically the US has free rights to put as much military assets and bases on there as they want. Denmark's definitely not going to stop them, right? But I think also the other argument is basically critical minerals. So that's really interesting because there is a lot of natural resources in Greenland. And, as the ice sheet melts, I think in terms of the assets that can be developed in Greenland for mining and mining the critical minerals, it's really important to break out of the Chinese threshold because basically I think the China controls about 50% of the global rare earth processing. So, it's quite a big card that they hold on, like when all the tariff war was happening, that's really the trump card for China. So it makes sense that Trump wants to get rid of that. But what doesn't really make sense is that the US can actually do whatever they want in Greenland. If they want to put military there, if they want to go mine there, they actually have the free will to do so. But I think the biggest implication and what it means is that, basically if they take over Greenland by force, which is still fairly unlikely, I don't think. I don't know. This might not age well in a couple of weeks. It could. I mean, it wouldn't take really much military assets to take over the island. But I think the biggest question is what's the implications for NATO and as all the other, all the European countries come out. Basically, if they do a military takeover, that's pretty much the end of NATO, right? So, And I mean, they don't even really have to use military force because I think the biggest thing is there's a question mark that's been raised in NATO where they go, is the US really going to be reliable to come to our defense? Because, again, going back to the Cold War era, what's the whole point of NATO? The NATO exists because of the nuclear umbrella. So essentially, Russia has about 5,500 nukes. US has pretty similar, if not a little bit more. And Europe is protected under that nuclear umbrella. So the whole military alliance, it's a trust thing because Europe doesn't have as much of the strategic assets and it's reliant on America. But if they're going to take over Greenland, which is, part of Denmark, I think it's a really big fracture in terms of trust. So, well, at least from my perspective, I think the military point of argument really makes sense, where this is kind of a big reveal moment for Europe where they go, okay, well, hold on. If the US support was to be called into question, what would we do? And basically, at the moment, not much. They Europe has been underspending a lot in terms of the military. The target that Trump wants them to get to is about 5%. They've agreed to come up to about 3.5%, and but they still got a long way to go, right? Their main military has not been industrialized as what Trump wants them to do.
Well,
But I
their
think,
most
yeah,
industrial nation is Germany, and there's been a
yes,
bit of reluctance to, amp up their military machine since about 1940-ish.
yes,
I can't remember why. Rhymes with Bitler.
Yeah.
But anyway, but yeah, go
yes.
on, guys. Sorry.
Yeah, so I think this is the big wake-up call for Europe, where they go, okay, well, we want to uphold international peace and law, but they have no military power to back that, and it's all in the hands of the US. So I'm pretty sure this is a medium to long-term trend where Europe wants to gain a little bit more control back. And it plays well into European defense stocks, and that's what we kind of seen in the last year or so. In Germany we got Rhine Metals, in UK you got Bay Systems, France got Thales, Sweden Saab. So SAB has done incredibly well because mainly because of their jet. So they don't only produce cars. This was one thing before I started researching about a year ago into Saab, right? Like they produce a Gripen, so it's a Swedish produced jet plane. And a lot of the NATO forces use that. So,
So you're
um,
telling me it's not the convertible 900 Saab from the
I
80s
thought I
that
thought I thought Saab sold that division off already. Or China bought that.
no,
No.
no.
They still make Saabs.
Oh, even the car or
As in the
the
cars.
oh, I don't know about the
Oh
cars
no,
actually.
God no! I was being
Maybe.
heavily sarcastic. They haven't said a Saab in years. They make trucks still though.
There you go.
Um,
Um,
yeah, but like I think from an investing standpoint, I think it's a really good play, right? Because they have to do it. Even after the Trump
and they have
administration,
to do
because
it
yeah,
fast is the big thing,
yes,
and that's where when things have to be done fast, the companies are like, and it's going to cost you. So I dare say there'll be some military companies curling their mows and rubbing their hands together for sure. So,
mm,
but it depends. I mean, do they trust each other anymore? So,
yeah. I
I
think
guess that's
that's
the
the
other
biggest
issue.
key question, right? Regardless of whether he actually takes military action or not, all the Europeans are basically thinking like, hold on a sec, if he can threaten me once with this, what's to stop the US from doing it again? You know? So,
So I've got a little map that I put on, um, which I kind of quite liked. I made a couple of adjustments. It was someone else had them on Twitter, but because I think Australia and Japan would like to be on this side. But there's Greenland up there, and we just had we just had lunch together with the boys, and they're saying that the Spanish and the Portuguese divided up South America in the past, or the popes did. I think that's maybe I think there's a fair comment that China just will divide it into. There'll be three hemispheres. There'll be the Russian hemisphere, the Chinese hemisphere, and the American hemisphere. And we've all potentially just got to choose a side. So yeah, but that's why I've just shifted Japan and Australia back around here because the Chinese and the Japanese don't have a great history of getting along. Africa, unfortunately, will probably just have to do as it's told because they don't have military technology. But yeah, no, it's going to be. And I mean, look, Russia and China are friendlies. China and America are going to have to be frenemies for the next year or two. But yeah, that I mean, obviously it's rather scary and all that, but well, I mean that kind of could be what's broadly going on, and Trump's pushing back, and but we'll move on. But and this is Canada's president,
Exactly. So that's Mark Carney,
Prime Minister.
Mark Carney and Xi. So they've actually had a diplomatic meeting in China over the last couple of days, and they've actually come out and said, yeah, we'll keep trading amongst each other. I believe the main thing was China's going to send more EVs into Canada.
And I would imagine Canada's going to send way more critical minerals back to China.
No, it's actually energy and seafood. that's what I
see. Well, there you go.
There you go. Like, so that's the sprinklings of it. But the energy part's the interesting one, because obviously now that USA has Venezuela, the pipeline between Canada and USA is at capacity. So they can't actually send any more oil down there. And so China's like, oh, well, if you have some spare, I'm sure we'll find a home for it. So obviously that puts, if you just go back to that Greenland map, you'll see that
Bear with me.
Yep. There you go.
No, this is the proper one, not my one.
No, but I'm just saying, have a look at where Canada is in between USA and Greenland.
Yeah.
So this throws a bit of a spanner in the works on what Trump wants to get, because obviously Trump is, with his Don Road doctrine, he's saying all of North, Central, and South America are under our control, but Canada being friendlies with China. That kind of puts a little bit of a spanner in the works type of thing. So,
and I've got to say, look,
the 51st state. What's the isn't Canada one of the states of the Americas? Or
well, that was Trump's original plan. But Carney said out because it looks like they're not being able to negotiate a mutual deal between the two, and Canada said, well, we can't wait for America, so we'll just go elsewhere to look for trading partners, and that's what's happened. And obviously Trump won't like that, but interesting to see what the reaction will be.
But as you can see here, and it might be my cognitive bias, but you know what? It's all pink, Greenland and Canada. I only just picked that up. Maybe I need to draw the lines a little bit better. But yeah, look, but other than that, really, this is the thing. I can't believe what's happened in the first 16 days of 2026. Mm-hmm. This is going to come out of my mouth, but it's kind of been a boring week, markets wise. Because Trump's made it so noisy that, short of him literally launching a nuclear weapon at someone, we all just go whatever, buddy. Even when he announced that, that's where the shock came in the banking sector this week with that 10% credit card thing. Was everyone was like, yeah, it's the midterms are coming up, yeah, whatever, taco, you'll chicken out, well, don't worry about it. And then he doubled down and everyone was still a bit like, nah, you're not going to do that. And then he went again, and then he's pulled back a little bit on Iran, and he's pulled back a little bit on Powell. He's now, some poor Department of Justice lady's been thrown under the bus. Apparently she launched these criminal investigations without anyone's knowledge at the DOJ. It's what a load of horse crap. So yeah, but look, and we had fairly, inflation was okay. It definitely wasn't. The media said it was slowing, but everyone's got a vested interest in rates being lower, so that always is the case. But
one thing that surprised me in terms of the data this week is the retail sales numbers. They're actually stronger in the US, and if you have a look at some of the retailers out there, I think Dollar Tree, Costco and Walmart, those stocks are rallying at the moment. So hey, the US consumer is still spending at this stage.
Yeah, I'm of the camp at the moment, and this is a difficult thing to say for an ex-macro and bond trader. I'm only looking at the privately collated numbers now. It seems all too very convenient. But we are back in greed territory, and yeah, it's 62. So we've been neutral for a couple of weeks, and I don't reckon the market doesn't look particularly solid, like in terms of, when the Mag 7 just backstopped any downside. I think it does look a touch shady, but it just, like Trump has made so much noise that now, like, there's going to have to be a terror attack or employment's going to have to come out down 300,000 for there to be any, for there to be shock to the market, because he's delivered like what would be the normal equivalent of a shock. He's delivered 6 of them since New Year's Eve.
Mm-hmm.
Like we've occupied a country, kidnapped their thing. We're just taking their resources. We're cutting credit card rates. Blah, blah, blah. It's like it's just been this blitzkrieg. Oh yeah. We're getting rid of the Fed. We're taking Greenland as well. Like, I mean, it's good for us trying to talk about something on a Friday, but I mean, I kind of find it exhausting because it's just kind of all it's too much for the market to digest. So I think everyone's just going back to earnings, and the price action in the banks wasn't great this week, but BlackRock up 6%, passive flows, the mindless green robot definitely winning again. They were too afraid to say the Bitcoin ETF helped them. They just said their digital assets portfolio. So yeah, but I mean, gents, pretty we could talk endlessly about Trump and what he's going to do, but we'll probably try and keep it short this week. Scott, JT, you can go first this week. What do you reckon? What do you reckon for the next week? Bearing in mind where's the S&P? At the moment, I'll go and grab it.
You can always just look at. I always look at SPX, the cash index. So I think we'll go from like Thursday close to the Thursday close. So for next week, and this is a bit of a, even though there's been some sort of de-escalation on Trump and Iran, I'm going from the military guys that I follow on Twitter. There's going to be some action this weekend, so I'm going to go bearish. I think.
Right.
Yeah. So I've noticed that Trump likes to do things on the weekend, so I think he's told
no, you're right. Or like on.
Yeah.
On the 2nd of freaking January.
Yeah. So he'll wait till the market's closed, like tell his mates, get set. Something's going to happen, and I think it'll be bearish next week.
Cool. Kai.
Bearish as well. I think. I think it's bearish in terms of weakness in some of the stock where we're seeing. We didn't really see it go anywhere over the Christmas period. But the Nasdaq is especially a little bit weak. And obviously with the geopolitical turmoil, I'm a little bit bearish.
Yeah, look, I'm sort of starting to learn a few lessons. I reckon there's one last little upside flush before it goes. I want to see 70 on the greed thing before I'm going bearish.
Mm-hmm.
So and look, it's taken 101 episodes, and if we could do a drum roll, we could. First time ever I've been bullish and you two have been bearish.
Uh-huh.
So
let's see what happens.
So yeah, I just think it just seems to every time we think that it just doesn't, the market just it always needs just one more morsel before it blows up. So yeah, but I'm genuinely surprised, but more so at JT, but Kai's still got that bit of bond trader in him that sees way too much that we've been trying to kick the habit for years. But yeah, so and as well, if you go, like, if you're following us on YouTube as well, I don't know, that's a very old slide, but yeah, if you're following us on YouTube, you at MPC Markets, but the Global Outlook webinar is up there. It's public now. Go and have a look. Sign up to Mosaic, and which you can get a free trial with all our recommendations at the moment. So the what used to be the trade of the week is, there's probably 3 or 4 trades of the week now. You're just going to sign up to Mosaic. So, we'll pretty much wrap this up and see everyone next week, I guess. And yeah, I mean, fingers crossed for the people of Iran that JT's not right, but I've got to say that I didn't. You've been pretty good on that stuff, particularly the Venezuela thing. You have to send me that military ships tracker website that you've been following.
Oh, you already follow the pizza index, so it's
the pizza index is good.
It's similar to that.
Yes. So you know what? We'll explain some markets on poly markets next week, maybe as a part of the theme.
Yeah.
So yeah. But anyway, thanks guys, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you, everyone.
General advice warning. The content presented in this presentation is intended for informational purposes only and provides general advice only. It does not take into account your personal objectives, financial situation, or specific needs. This information should not be the sole resource when making investment decisions. We strongly recommend you seek the advice of a financial professional.